Calgary's Zoogal is stepping down. It's hard not to think of Trish Exton-Parter when you hear about the Calgary Zoo because she's been the face and voice of the zoo for more than 30 years, and her tenure is bookended by a very popular attraction.
I started actually in '84, so even 4 years prior to the pandas coming. So back then, the zoo really was a much different place. Peter Karsten was our very first director that I worked with, an amazing man who started the whole pathway to conservation, very much a conservationist, and today on Denman Island still is, actually, with his own little zoo in the backyard, if you will. So at that point, I mean, really, we were a small family situation there. It was very much a smaller zoo on the island, and still did wonderful events, but everything was in a smaller staff environment. And then we worked towards pandas, and that just took the roof off. When we had pandas in '88, it was during the Olympics. It was for 7 months. That's when we got into sponsorship and tourism and really put the zoo on the map and really spread that message that the zoo was more about conservation and looking at breeding endangered species. And we moved away from the old style of habitats into what you see today.
Do you have a favorite exhibit? And you can say it now because you're transitioning. Do you have a favorite overall exhibit?
Do you know what? I love the Canadian wilds.
Okay.
And I think that's because I saw that develop as that was happening in the '80s, where we saw the vision of having these habitats where you could, first of all, not only appreciate animals in our own backyard, which sometimes we forget about, but we also feel that you can sort of take a walk through nature and see animals in their own natural environments. And those habitats there are really quite spectacular because it celebrates what we have here in Canada. And I love them. I think year-round they have something to offer and to celebrate the animals we have here and also the work that we're doing with them in the wild. There's that connection as well, so that when people come and learn a bit about what we're doing here in Calgary at the zoo, they can also understand we're making a difference out there. And that's a big deal.
If I'm going to the zoo for the first time and there's a takeaway that you want me to get from my experience there, what is it?
I think the takeaway is that zoos are relevant, and zoos will continue to be relevant going forward. We've come a long way in the evolution, and I can speak to that after being there for 34 years, that, you know, maybe when we were little kids, you could ride an elephant, and they were sort of caged environments. And zoos now really have a place that matter. We connect what we're doing here in Calgary with the species that we have in our care. Our veterinarians, our animal care team are dedicated, passionate people, and our conservation team is doing field work out in the wild, and we're taking whooping cranes, Vancouver Island marmots, fishers most recently in the States, and actually reintroducing them successfully. So the stories that are coming out are really fantastic, and it's that network we build with other good organizations that are making a difference. So I want people to know that we can inspire you to try and make a difference, and we're helping people to have the tools that they can use as well to learn how to be sustainable in their own environment.
The adult pandas will be in Calgary for a total of 5 years before returning to China. The young pandas head back to their homeland later this year. In Calgary, I'm Ted Henley for City News.